this man has got huge heart, very strong heart, obviously, and a massive purpose and drive. And we wanted to bring on Dave Williams.
Kia ora. Ko Prongi te mama, ko Whakatu te awa, ko Jenny te mama, ko Pai te papa, ko Rauri Horumu Takuinga, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Yeah, I'm Dave. And I'm here to tell you guys some yarns. I've only got 20 minutes, so I can only tell you a few yarns, but we'll see how we go. Yeah, I'm also a teacher, and I'm used to not speaking with a mic, so I can chill a bit now with my voice, which is all good. So Sea2Summit7 is a project that I've been working on for 7 years now, and it all happened from a big life epiphany, you know, like all of those cliches of I was lost and needed to find myself. That pretty much was the case here. But so thousands of people have climbed Mount Everest now. You guys have all seen that photo that came out recently, eh? Yeah. Hundreds have climbed the 7 summits, so that's the highest mountain in each of the 7 continents. A couple of people have climbed some of the 7 summits from sea level, but no one has yet to climb the highest mountain in each of the 7 continents from sea level. So that's what I'm trying to do, set a record and do that. When I say from sea level, I run a marathon a day, consecutively, every day to get to the mountain, and then I climb it. So these are the 4 of the 7 that I've already completed, and that's summit photos. So some of them are by myself and others are with friends, which is another part of this story as well. We've just got a short video to play now, because I know some of you guys are thinking, like, what's going on? Like, a little bit confusing and trying to relate to it. So the easiest way I find is to play this video and just talk over it to put things into a little bit of perspective. So yeah, as I said, it started 7 years ago. These are the mountains of the 7 summits and the distance from the coast that they are. So you saw how far Everest is. That's 40 marathons in 40 days before I climb Everest. This is me in Europe. This is me in South America, Africa. I did all of these on a shoestring budget, just camping and staying in the side of roads or ditches and knocking on people's doors. This is me running through Africa. I did 10 marathons in 9 days to run across Tanzania. This is me reaching the gates of Kilimanjaro to start my climb. I was like 63 kilos and really tired. That's me on the summit there. This is me in Australia. I decided to do this one just living off salami, porridge, and chocolate. This is me running through Chile into Argentina. And yeah, that's in the Andes, Mount Aconcagua. I'm not actually running this pace, it's sped up. I really wish I was, but nah, it definitely was. This is the steepest road in the world, and that's what happens when you run up it. I like lay there and vomited for like 15 minutes. So this is me in Georgia. I'm trying to cross from Georgia into Russia in a militarized zone. I was not allowed to be there, and I'll tell you a story about that. So this is me in the Nacra Valley, where no Westerner has ever been before except for me. Now still I've got Mount Denard in Alaska to go. I went there but got my ass kicked, so I've got to go back. It's all good. Now I've got to go to Antarctica, Vinson Massif, where it's about a 40-day sled tow to get to the mountain, and then about a 3-week climb. And Mount Everest, 40 marathons in 40 days, and then a 3-month climb. Yeah, 3 months, yeah. So yeah, the idea of this though is it's not about me. I'm saying all of these things that I'm doing, but I might be doing the steps, but it's a community thing because it's all to raise money and awareness for mental health. Yeah. So the first real question that I think I need to address is, why me? So I was just an everyday Kiwi bloke, grew up, was born in Hamilton, moved up to Auckland, and yeah, went to school and loved outdoor education. Thought, yeah, I'll do outdoor ed. My careers advisor advised me pretty good and was like, you should do an outdoor course. So I did that, and then I loved it and turned my passion into my career. which I know some of you may have done as well. Just on a side note though, before I forget about it, I was currently right now meant to be in Alaska, but I'm not, and I think we all know why, right? Yeah. So is anyone else in this room here by default? But have you, had some big plans and big dreams have had to been compromised or changed? Yeah. So I know it's been pretty amazing, extenuating circumstances, let's just call it. But at the same time, I've had some really great perspective on that. So I'm not in Alaska, I'm here talking to you, and I'm actually really happy about that. So it's all good. And yeah, so I got to a point in my life where I was doing what I thought was my career as my passion, but then I was never going out and doing outdoors things by myself, or when I had spare time, I was going to town and buying new clothes and kind of partying and like change my friendship group and stuff like this, and then I'd go back into the outdoors and come back and never go into the outdoors myself. And I didn't see it happening because it happened over a period of time. And yeah, I had a girlfriend at the time, and she liked all going to cafes. I didn't even drink coffee at the time, that I'd just go anywhere and be like, yes. And and I just had changed my life so much to fit in with all of these other distractions around me. And then out of the blue, she dumped me. It's okay, I've got a lovely wife now, and she's pregnant with our firstborn, so it's all good. It's all good. You can laugh at what I said, you know. Just dumped me out of nowhere, and I just remember being like, oh, classic, on the couch, you know, tubs of ice cream, crying and stuff like that. Who am I? What have I done? And then I was like, man, I think I know why. Because I'm not me. How did that happen? And it just happened over time. And without me having that realization, I wouldn't have come to that. So I was like, okay, who are you? Find yourself. What do you like doing? I like surfing. I like climbing stuff. So I checked the internet. Best surfers in Taranaki, Maine. I'm off to Taranaki. And I remember I was paddling out in the waves, and this wave was coming, and it looked real good, but I was trying to be all upset and broody, because, I'd just been dumped. And I was like, and this wave was coming, and I was like, okay, and I catch it, and I'm like riding this wave, and I'm like, oh no, gotta be sad. And I pull off, and I'm like, I don't know if it was water or tears running down my face, but I'm paddling back out. The next wave comes, and I'm still trying to be broody. And then it comes, and it was real good, and I got a little barrel, and came out, and I was like, yeah. I was by myself, but I was still like this. And I was just like, oh, why are you trying to be sad? You're fine. Like, stop it, let go, and find yourself. This is awesome. And then I managed to, I got a couple of crazy friends. One of them was over there, Johnny, and we decided to go on a mission to do a Sea2Summit of Taranaki. So while I was in Taranaki there, we set off into this epic journey. It took about 13 hours, going from the ocean, got to near the summit of Taranaki, and it was just that was my journey of self-discovery, finding myself and all of that. But it really was. But then I got back from that journey of self-discovery, with this new perspective on life, that big epiphany, and I unfortunately learnt that one of my friends had lost his battle with depression. And I started thinking about that, and it really affected me, because I'd just come back off this massive elative high of rediscovering myself, and I thought, man, this is a real issue here. And then I started thinking about Sea2Summits and realised that no one's done the 7 summits from sea level. And I know why now, because it's really, really hard. Really hard. So I was like, I'm going to do the 7 summits, and I'm going to do it for mental health. Naively stoked, yeah, let's do this. Awesome. So I quit my job and did all of that and set off. And I wanted to actually live a life that I loved, because I currently wasn't. And part of that is finding that work-passion balance. Raise your hand if you've turned your passion into your work. Yeah, we know that you guys have there. Yeah, so you guys, yeah, you can't answer this now. But that happens, right? But somehow along the way, passion becomes work, and the lines get blurred. And that had happened to me. And I can't believe I was ever going to say that, but it did happen to me. So what I've done, because I still work in the outdoors, I'm a tutor at Wintec. I'm running an outdoor certificate and diploma there. And I realized that I need something that I don't teach for myself, and that's surfing. So I moved to Raglan, and it's pretty cool. I love it in Raglan. But for me, the ocean, the waves, and surfing is something that I don't teach. I don't blur it with work. That is just my space. It's still the outdoors, but it's my space. And that for me has been like the best thing I've ever did to keep my work passion balance. So if there's an avenue of your job that you can do for yourself, then I highly recommend exploring that further. Now, the positivity of naivety. Who's been said, oh, you're so naive, or that connotation is always negative, isn't it? Naivety is, negative. I don't think it should be, because I wouldn't have started this journey if I wasn't naive. So my naivete has taken me to places that I never, ever would have been to if I just didn't go, yeah, she'll be right, let's go, figure it out on the way. Obviously, that's super dangerous, but as long as you do it with a slightly educated way, it's all good. And another little life lesson that I have is just making something bigger than yourself. So if I was doing Sea2Summit7 for myself, so I could walk around saying, I'm the first person to ever climb all of these mountains from sea level, I think I'd get lost in myself and I'd draw too much ego into the challenge, when really, by attaching this to mental health, which is something I'm super passionate about, it's made the challenge bigger than me. I'm not climbing the 7 summits for Dave Williams. It's for mental health, and I truly believe that, and that is what keeps you going. There's so many times I would have quit. If I was just doing this for me, and no one really knew about it, I would just be like, yeah, I'm out. But I'm like, so tired. Oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. It's not about you, Dave. And you're like, yeah, and then you just keep going. So that anything you really feel about is just attaching it to something bigger than yourself, and it becomes this entity that you really believe in. So this is me running through Tanzania, and the reason I'm going to talk about this photo is because when you go traveling, you often, you get on your bus or your rental car and you fly through the country at 80 k's or 100 k's an hour. Running through a country, you should all do it. Because you really experience the heart and the soul and the feeling of a country when you travel through it at 9 kilometers an hour. Sometimes 10, usually about 9. And yeah, in Tanzania especially, I started off, the coast is like Muslim, and then it goes into the Maasai area, and then it goes into the Christian area, and you see the houses change. It's just incredible. People inviting me in for like dinner and lunch that I didn't know because they just thought I was crazy for running. And yeah, but it's pretty incredible seeing kind of the whole heart and soul of a country. This is me running again, just to show. It was quite lonely on the roads sometimes, but you get yourself into deep reflective processes. Now this photo here, this is the first time I really talked about Tanzania and Kilimanjaro, because it's quite a boring story. Usually when you go and hear like adventurers speak, they talk about, I was almost dead and then I climbed it. Whereas with Kilimanjaro, I trained really hard. I got a nutritionalist, I focused, I ran 10 marathons, and then I climbed it and I did it. It's kind of a boring story, eh? But the one thing that's the story I had a really awesome reflective moment is I had dreamt about what the summit was going to feel like and look like in my mind, because as you're running along, you got nothing else to think about. So I just imagined like I was going to stand on the summit, I was going to be like, yeah, look at me, first ever, that was the first ever, Sea2Summit of Kilimanjaro. Guinness record, no one's ever done this. But in reality, I don't even remember being on the summit. I was so out of it. Like I'd pushed myself to complete exhaustion. I got there and I was there and I got a sign and blah, blah. I honestly do not remember any of it because I was exhausted. So I dreamt of this moment in my mind so much for hours and hours, months and months, and I literally don't even remember it. But I remember this moment on the way down when it all hit me. Oh my gosh, you did it. That is crazy. And I sat down on that rock and that was my summit. This was my summit for me because I had it to myself. There was no one else around. There was no guides. There was no anything. It was just myself on a rock reflecting on reaching the summit. And that actually put into perspective to me that a summit isn't a physical thing. And a mountain is a metaphor as well. It's just achieving that moment. And we always think about how it's going to be when you get there. You dream about it, you know? And when it's not, you almost feel let down. But for me, I've learned to not be let down by that. I've learned to go, whoa, okay, so when is this epiphany going to hit? Or what's the reflection going to be? Like, oh, it's exciting, it hasn't happened yet. Because one of the common things that I'm always asked is, why do you keep doing this? Why do you climb? Like, why would you put yourself through this? And for me, the thing that I love more than anything with mountaineering and adventuring is that what if, that unknown. I'm like, what is going to happen to me on this journey? Like, am I going to waste myself? Or am I going to have this huge life lesson? I'm going to come back and become vegan. It hasn't happened yet. You know, or what is it going to be though? Like, my priority is going to flip 180. So that's the reason I love adventuring, is because I become a new version of myself every climb. I learn more about myself in a month than I have in 3 years. Now this story here, you see that guy walking with the gun. So this is just a quick story. I love this story. I get excited. My plan, because there was no maps or roads or anything like that, to get to the border of Georgia and Russia. So I was like, I'm just going to sneak up this valley. It'll be sweet as, you know. Google Earth was how I planned my route, because there's no maps. And I just memorized it on Google Earth so many hours, that I was like the Terminator. I had Google Earth on one eye, and I was like actually seeing here. And I was going up this valley, and then I saw these cows with bells. I was like, ages up this valley, and I was like, this is weird. And then next thing you know, these guys jump out of the bush with AK-47s yelling at me in Russian. And I didn't learn Russian, I just learned the accent because it was easier. I was like, please, don't shoot me. They didn't understand what I was saying. They're like, no, please, I'm New Zealand. And they're like, nah. So they arrested me anyway. And they kind of took me to this detention holding cell. And I know I've done lots of stupid things, but I had a letter explaining what I was doing in Russian that I got a friend to write before I left. And I didn't want to give it to these guys because I didn't trust them. They were like the lackeys, you know, I wanted the boss. So the boss walks in, classic like an 80s movie, goes, the other guys leave the room. He had a scar on his face, and he walks up to me, and I was like, oh, he's going to like smash me against the wall. Who are you working for? You know? And I was just like, here's this letter. And I'm like, shaking, I give it to him, and he was like staunch, hey? I was so scared. And he reads this letter. Reads it, looks at me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. I love you, Mum, sorry. and then he looks at me, and then his demeanor just changes. And he walks over to me, and I see a tear in his eye, and he picks me up and gives me a massive hug. And he starts crying and says, like, and then he's like, I don't speak Russian. And we call this translator real quick, and he explains to me that in Georgia, mental health is a really big problem, and we're not allowed to talk about it, it's taboo. And he said, I'm going to do everything I can to help you get to that border. And I was just like, wow, so mental health is an international thing, you know. It's a language that broke down every single barrier that was there. So it was a pretty amazing moment, and I'll never forget it. And then we had a couple of shots of vodka. So this is me in the valley that I got a military permit to go up that no Westerner has ever been before. And he gave me his Jeep to drive to the spot that I got arrested. And then like, the river is still dangerous, so you must have my horse to ride across it. So I'm like, so you're telling me to do it, I have to ride your army Jeep and then ride your horse across the river? I accept your terms. Yeah, I often, you know, people say, oh, it's crazy, you know, all of the training that you do for this challenge, running through streets in Otahu for years just to like keep fit and active and healthy and all that sort of stuff. It's like, so many times I'm like, is it worth it, you know? Is it worth it? And then selfishly, moments like this, it's worth it. Like, you know, it's incredible. And you don't know when these are going to happen, but the chance that they might happen is enough to keep you going. So my final little lesson that I'm going to talk about is this image. So I'm not good at photography at all. My mum's a photography teacher, so sorry. But this photo here, I was on this mountain, and I'd been on this mountain 2 previous times, and I'd failed to climb it. It's called Aconcagua. It's in Argentina. And I was so focused. I was like, 3rd time's a charm. I'm not going to fail again. No matter what I'm summiting, I don't care. I'm summiting. And I was in camp, and I was thinking so much about the summit. my eyes were literally like looking at it the whole time. And then in the background, this was behind me, but I didn't know because I'm just thinking, summit, 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 summit. And then my friend who I was climbing with said, Dave, turn around. And I was like, whoa. Okay, like that had been there the whole time, but I was so focused on my goal and what was in front of me that I didn't even realize all of the beauty that was around me. And that changed my perspective and the way that I climb now. Now I'm much more focused on the journey and sharing that and all of this than actually just focusing on the summit. And we do that in life, eh? We're just like, I'm going to do that, you know? And when you do that, all of this is often cooler than this. So that's the part that I focus on now, and it's really changed my life. So this moment here, I like to think about because it was summer back in New Zealand. Third summer in a row I was on this cold, crappy mountain that I didn't want to be on. All my friends back home are surfing and fishing, and I'm sitting on this dusty mountain in South America that I've been on for like 50 days total. And then I looked at that, and for me, those clouds are like the waves of New Zealand. Like, so I was like, hold on, that's the swell right there. And then it was my moment, my spiritual moment of this is actually where I should be right now. And yeah, and then I just started to really enjoy myself on the mountain, a mountain that I hate. I've never suffered mental illness myself, but when I thought about this mountain, because I'd failed twice, it brought me anxiety. I actually was like, I can't believe there's no way I'm coming back the third time and saying that I didn't climb it. I hate this mountain. And then I saw it in its beauty, and then it just changed my perspective 100% a full flip. So yeah, that one mountain has taught me so much about life. Cool. And we made it, which is cool. Yeah. Yeah. And I made it with my friends, which is even cooler. The other 2 times I was solo, so to do it with my friends made it much more special. That's just a few stories about kind of my life and my journey and things like that. But if there's any take home here that I kind of want to reiterate a little bit is if you are going to choose your passion and turn that into your career and your life, make sure that you just keep rechecking and reevaluating and have a little part of that is just for yourself. Because usually we turn our passion into our job because we're really good at it, you know? And then if there's some part that you're really good at it that you could monetize or anything, just leave that for you. So thank you very much for coming along and listening to my talk.